if that's Essene literature, we have two or three indications on what the Essenes would object to, both Herod's marital practices, the marital practices of the whole Herodian family, and in particular this situation, niece marriage and divorce. All those things are condemned, are not condemned in Rabbinic Judaism. They're not condemned, those are not Jewish condemnations. Those are condemned in the scrolls. And that's why the scrolls are intermediate between Judaism and Christianity in many regards, except the ethos. The ethos is militancy of this kind. You know, the fires in the fan and so on, and the axes at the tree. That would be not strange militancy for the scrolls. You know, this is the time of the preparation of the way in the wilderness. This is the preparation of zeal for God and the day of vengeance. So when you get a passage like that I read you from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the same kind of militancy. Am I making some sense there? So, you know, I think the militancy of John's speech and the issue of some objections not clearly expressed here, why Herod the Tetrarch would be upset by this, John coming out and haranguing him on these sexual activities, smacks of the Dead Sea Scrolls, smacks of the Essenes, more material linking John to the Essenes for make a way in the wilderness. I think John is involved with the Essenes. The Essenes are involved with John. Was he one of their leaders? Probably. I don't think he was just sitting out there alone. You know, if you've been out, even in Death Valley, you know, someplace like that, all the hermits out in those places, they all know each other. They're not how one guy's sitting in a cave and nobody knows him. If there's this hermit and these hermits over here, they all know about each other. They're all walking around in the same area. They know what each other are doing. You don't have Essenes here and John here and they don't connect. They're all influencing each other, talking to each other. They know what's going on out there. And I assure you, if these people were in these same wildernesses, they know all about each other. And the same with Banis. So this is tough to do because we have these documents which are, to my mind, to a certain extent, overwritten and overseas, written by people who only have a passing familiarity with the events in question because it's more a Greek approach. We have the scrolls, which are very recondite Hebraic documents, which often write in a kind of code. We have their approach, we have Josephus. We have to put it all together to get a proper picture. So my conclusion, right or wrong, John displays Essene characteristics. Essenes of the kind we're speaking about are extremely militant, not peace-loving ones of the kind Josephus tries to portray. There may have been several different groups of Essenes here at this time, but the ones in the scrolls are extremely militant, apocalyptic, and would speak like this to some extent, and they would object to Herodian marriages, and I think they do object to Herodian marriage and divorce practices. Okay, let's just quickly, I know we have a few more minutes here. I want to move on, so we have something to have an exam on Thursday. So tomorrow, Tuesday, I'll tell you more about the exam. We'll see how far we get here. Look here, Matthew 14, Mark 6, Luke 9. If you can find it. At that season, Herod the Tetrarch heard the report concerning Jesus and said unto his servants, "This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore do these powers work in him." So now, Jesus for Herod is he's a deep religious thinker, this Herod guy. We even have a tape recorder there. We know just what Herod was saying. You know, we don't have a novelist here, do we? Who's trying to make it look as if he knows what Herod is saying. He's actually got a tape recorder up there, or a bug up in Herod's ceiling. So he knows what Herod is saying about Jesus. This is John the Baptist. He's risen from the dead. No, I don't know if we can be sure Herod ever said that. And therefore do these powers work in him. For Herod had laid hold on John, bound him, and put in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. No. Herodias was not Philip's wife. Salome was Philip's wife. What's wrong?
We don't know where you are.
I told you, I'm in Matthew 14, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
I don't know if you're fine.
Page 75.
Matthew 14.
Page 75.
Oh, page 75.
I'm trying to continue the John deal, okay? Sorry about this, you guys. So sorry. For John said, "It is not law for you to have it." And when he would have put him to death, but he feared the multitudes, because they counted him as a prophet. Okay, so that's true. John's a popular leader. And that accords with Josephus. He fears the multitudes. But rather than not putting him to death, he does put him to death just for that reason in Josephus. For they counted John a prophet. And so here we have a reversal here. A reversal that panders to the ruling authorities, either Herodian or Roman authorities. Now you have to decide, and Josephus is a scallywag. I don't doubt that he's a scallywag. But what about these other guys writing this? Are they doing things too? What did Josephus say at the beginning that I read you in his introduction? All the accounts have been falsified. To do what? To vilify the Jews and flatter the Romans. I don't do that. Then he goes and does it. But if he doesn't do it, and he does what he does, then other accounts are doing it more. Are these accounts vilifying the Jews and flattering the Romans? Does Mel Gibson? In my view, yes, you can see that there is that tendency in some of these materials. You'll have to decide. That's for you to decide. Are the Jews overly vilified? I think any fair person would say that that's the case. Well, did that lead to hatred all over the world? And still, yeah, I think unfortunately it's still working. And then did that bring upon a Holocaust that should be on a lot of people's conscience of 6 million people? Who would do that to little children, 6 million people? How could you have such hatred? Where could that hatred come from? How could it be so deep? I think it's theological hatred. It can only, people don't hate races. Whites don't hate Afro-Americans to that extent. Hispanics don't hate whites to that extent. Whites don't, I don't even like to talk in those terms, but people don't hate, they maybe make them work or enslave or do horrible things to each other. They don't put them in gas chambers. They don't take 1 million little babies and just throw them in gleefully. Come on. This is something done. Another order. I hate to say it, and everyone has it on their conscience. I mean, I'm not trying to make anyone feel guilty, but we have to work this out. And the only way to work it out is get rid of, if there's a germ in any of Scripture that is not Jesus's, that shouldn't be Jesus's, that Jesus would disapprove of, then it has to go. And I assure you, Jesus would stand right next to me today and say the same thing. I have no doubt, no fear whatsoever.